Okay, welcome in everyone. We have up here on stage myself, which is Frost, joined by Strife and Swiller.
Hello, hello.
Good evening, everybody.
Looks like we got Mama D here. Rambo Biscuit, welcome in. Love that name. Toolmaker, TLR, Nick, welcome in. Tonight's going to be pretty much a quick session, most likely. We're going to be talking about walkie-talkies, radios. We're going to get into the little bit of the basic programming, just a very simple course tonight about radios and how we can use them in our normal lives and in emergency and kind of prepper situations. Strife and Swiller, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How's your night going?
Doing really well.
Good. How about everybody in chat? How's your night going?
Hope everyone's having a fantastic evening. The Tank, sorry I'm late. No, you're right on time. We're just getting started. Amy's in here. Fried Potatoes, welcome in. Rambo Biscuit says, I'm getting my notebook ready. In chat, who has walkie-talkies, basic walkie-talkies, or radios, or ham radios? Let us know what you use. Tonight, we're going to be pretty much going over the basics of Baofangs, which are the cheapest option out there and the easiest to program. So let us know if you use walkie-talkies, what brand, and maybe if you're like a ham radio person and use more advanced stuff, let us know, because that kind of stuff will be coming up in future sessions. I've been kind of thinking that I know it's harder. It's a more like an investment, and it's a little bit harder to get into with the requirements and small tests and stuff like that and some learning, but ham radio kind of goes hand in hand with prepping. Fried Potatoes 188 says, me, the Baofeng, excellent. Toolmaker's reminding us that there's been 22 EMs today. Thank you, Toolmaker. Amy says, I am not prepared at all. Well, perfect. Tonight is actually the very first session like this. This is the basics. And we were talking about earlier on Discord, Strife, Swiller, and myself, about how we're going to be bringing everyone and getting everyone involved in content about prepping, um, getting involved in basics of security, self-defense, all that stuff, and we're going to grow together. So today we're starting off with the very basics.
Sounds like a plan to me. Before we get started, I'm going to take care of a little admin work.
Go ahead, buddy.
Guys, if you are new here or if you haven't had a chance on your way in, please take a moment to strike that like button. Give us a thumbs up. If you are new around here and you're not subscribed to the channel, which is a fair percentage of the folks that watch our videos and tune into our live streams, make sure you take a moment to subscribe. It is 100% free, does not cost you a dime, a nickel, or the soon to be extinct penny. Share our stream. A share is like giving us 10 likes at one time. Throw us out there on your social media. Get us out there in front of your like-minded friends and family, especially ones tonight that you think would benefit from learning how to program and use one of these radios. Um, it's a heck of a technology to have in your back pocket, especially when things get close to or have already hit the fan. Um, any additional forms of communication that you can have in your go bag or in your vehicle or anything along those lines might be the difference between life and death.
100%. And it doesn't even have to be for emergency situations. These are pretty handy just on normal day stuff or when you take a vacation. They can be pretty handy all the way around, but we're going to get into the basics of it right now, as long as you're done with the admin stuff, Swiller.
Yeah, no, the only thing, the only reason why I even want to touch on this, because I know we're not doing news tonight, but for those that are into the aviation and follow the channel because of the aviation, we did have an F-18 Hornet go down in the waters off of San Diego today. But I kind of want to use that. I won't talk any more about it. I kind of want to use that incident later to bring up a good use for these radios after we've shown some folks what to do with them.
Perfect. Real quick, was that during training? Was there like a training exercise going on?
It's from what I'm to understand, it's not part of the Bamboo Eagle exercise
Okay.
that's going on. Ooh, speaking of eagles, I didn't get a chance to tell you today. I heard a little rumble while I was sitting at my desk, and I thought to myself, that doesn't sound like a normal T-38 doing a touch and go. Let me go outside and see what's going on. And I caught myself an F-15 landing in my airport.
Oh,
I got a
nice.
couple of photos of it parked on the ramp. It's parked where it normally isn't parked. It's parked with the Black Hawk helicopters. They don't usually park fighter jets with the helicopters, you know?
Yeah.
So I actually got a couple of really good photos that I will post on our Discord later about that.
Perfect. Excellent. Nice spot, Swiller. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the radio and communication basics. So tonight, like I said, we're going over just the basics. We'll be getting more advanced as we go along. But why would you want a radio? I mean, walkie-talkies have been around for forever. There's lots of different ways to communicate, which is, let's first talk about the bands. So most walkie-talkies, like these little guys in front of me, or like the ones that you can buy at Walmart, are going to operate on what we call FRS frequencies. And those, you don't need any kind of license. You're also going to run into a lot of people using them, maybe kids playing around in the backyard with them. So, one, they're not secure. Other people can hear your communication. You can hear theirs. And you're more than likely to run, depending on where you live, into other people using them, which is fine. That's what they're there for. A step above that is going to be the GMRS. Those have quiet codes, but they don't make it so other people can't hear you. Other people can't crash your call, but they can probably still hear you. When you're talking at this level, there's no such thing as secure communication in this level. If Swiller and I are having a conversation, even using quiet codes that might be on the radio, and we'll be getting more into that, other people can still hear you. Maybe they're listening to a scanner, or maybe they're listening to another radio like one of these. They can still hear you, but they can't maybe interrupt your call unless they have that quiet code. We use stuff like that at work as well. When we're running operations, people aren't crashing your calls. So specifically the ones that are in front of me right now, these can operate on the FRS and GMRS frequencies and some other ones. On top of that, a step above that, you have your ham radio stuff, kind of like this one here. Let's see. So GMRS, technically, if you want to operate on GMRS frequency, you do need to have a GMRS license, which is really easy to get. You just have to sign up for one. I think it's between 15 and 20 bucks. And that's good for a few years. Really easy to get. You don't have to take a test. But you do have to use that little ID they give you to transmit every so often when you're talking on a GMRS frequency. And everyone that's not part of that home needs to have one. So if Swiller and I are talking downtown Vegas and we're using a GMRS radios to communicate, we would both need to have our GMRS licenses. Any questions so far, please put them in chat.
Hey, Frost,
Mama D says she has Baofeng handhelds. Swiller, what were you saying, buddy?
So basically what you're saying is at the end of our transmission, we would have to say our call signs?
At the beginning and then towards the end, I believe, when you're signing off. I don't use a lot of GMRS, but I do have my license on it.
Gotcha. And then I believe FRS is it Family Radio Service or Family Radio System?
I'm pretty sure it's Family Radio System.
And then what would GMRS be?
That's a good question. Let's check that out. I think it's like general purpose. So real quick, while we're checking into that, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but another nice thing about GMRS radios is you can buy repeaters. So if Swiller's on one side of this hill or mountain, and we put a repeater on top, and I'm on the other side, you're talking to the repeater, and which is rebroadcasting our transmissions, and you can get more distance out of it. You can get around like hills, small mountains. But both FRS and GMRS are not like ham radio. They work line of sight, best used. So they might say 2 to 5 mile on the package, but when you get buildings and you get obstacles and other interference in the way, that distance is going to be reduced dramatically. Amy says, where do I get the license from? For FRS, you just have to go on the FCC website for GMRS. I can actually share the link here in a bit, and you can order your GMRS license to operate. And that just keeps you technically legal on the GMRS frequencies. Unfortunately, a lot of people do just kind of assume they buy a GMRS radio and they don't think they have to use any kind of license. But to be technical about it and to be on the right side of the FCC's laws, you do have to have a license. These are great questions. The tank says, what do they run off, towers or satellite? So these GMRS radios I'm holding in front of me and FRS radios, when they're programmed to those frequencies, this part's going to get a little technical after that. These only work point to point. There's nothing else making these work, which is great for like a grid down scenario. This is great for power outages. These don't rely on anything else unless you're using a repeater. These just work point to point. No other technology is needed. Hey, V, welcome in. So the license fee is $35 for 10 years, one time, no test required. And these are strictly personal, non-commercial use. And they're only legal within the United States. You can't take these to Canada or actually even close to the Canadian border or other countries. We're going to get into the programming of these radios and answer more questions. One thing to note, specifically the Baofangs, when you program these, they can work on FRS, they can work on GMRS. And now they also have their power limits that you can operate on those channels. So to be very technical, unless you're using this radio for emergencies or STHF situations where the law doesn't really matter, these can operate illegally on FRS and GMRS channels. They have power limits that can operate on those channels. If you're using a FRS frequency, you can only operate to so much power, and we'll get into that. But also, if you're not careful, you can operate on frequencies that might be owned by the police or a business, which you shouldn't be operating on. Side note, you can listen on those frequencies as long as it's not like a digital system. You can listen to, say, your local airport or maybe the ambulance, but you got to make sure you're not transmitting on those frequencies because that would be against the law. And also, it's always good to know to check your local laws. Some places prohibit even listening on those frequencies with like a police scanner or something, or a radio like this. Gonna catch up on chat.
I can tell you that in the UK, it is illegal to listen to police communications.
Is it really on any level?
On any level. And they even have set up sting operations to catch people with police scanners.
That's wild. So here in most states and most counties, it's legal to listen to emergency services. A lot of them went to digital systems, which is harder to listen. But when they definitely don't want you to listen, they go to encrypted communication, which is almost impossible to listen to, and is actually illegal to listen to unless you are certified to do so. Okay, so quick programming note here. So these Baofangs, this one has an extended battery to last longer, which actually needs replaced pretty soon. There's a few different styles. One's going to look like this. It's going to have like a nice little screen on it. Another is going to have a knob where you change the channels up top, like 1 through 18. If I turn this one on, it'll tell you what channel you go to. And if I go to the next channel, so you don't have a screen on this one. It just tells you what frequency you're on when you change it, or channel rather. So you get to customize these channels. Now, do be careful if you buy this Baofeng. I believe it's the 888S. The frequencies and channels right out of the box, I believe, are on frequencies you do not want to use.
That's convenient.
Right? A lot of people in the radio world don't like these for that reason, because they think it leads to misuse and abuse on the radio spectrum. Let's see here. So Baofengs definitely catch a lot of flack in the radio world. So this radio will turn off, and these programming cables that go to USB to your computer are actually very cheap on Amazon. Usually they come or have an option to come with your radio. So this side door, my camera angle is not the best. You can open up this little side door, and it has little 2 ports on there that this guy is going to slip right into. So I'm going to plug that in. Maybe. Okay. I'm going to make sure that's fully seated. My radio is off. Now I'm going to turn it on all the way up. And you're going to download a program called Chirp. CHIRP. And if you have any questions along the way, please shout them out. I will stop and answer these as we go. I don't want anyone to get left behind that has good questions.
Does the radio automatically switch? Like as you're going from frequency to frequency, does it automatically switch between AM mode and FM mode for whatever's appropriate for that frequency?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Actually, you need to pre-program those ahead of time, which I'll show you right here. That's a good question. Okay, so when you download the free program called Chirp, and you have your programming cable plugged in, and you've turned on your radio after that, you are going to get... I always download, before I do anything, I download a backup of the radio. So I'm going to hit radio. Let me do that again. I'm going to hit radio, and I'm going to hit download. You're going to have different options up here. It's probably going to be something that says like COM4, that's communication port 4, USB serial. It's either going to be like COM 1, 2, 3, or 4. Sometimes you just have to test it out depending on what you have plugged into your computer. And if you're ever doing this, please let me know. I can help you along the way. It's going to ask you for your vendor. So this is a Baofeng. The model of this radio that I'm programming is a UV5R. And I'm going to hit OK. It's going to tell me all the stuff I just told you to do right now. And now it is downloading all my current programming to my computer. So we could edit it. We could save it in case before we make any other adjustments. And if I'm moving too fast or getting too technical, please let me know. I don't want to leave anyone behind. I don't know how easy this is to see on the screen here. But we downloaded everything that's in the radio that I've already had pre-programmed in there. So this says like channel 1 is running on this name. These are actually running on my ham radio channels close to me. So these are repeaters for ham radio people that I can actually reach out to those towers miles away and talk to other ham radio people. Below that, I have other ham radio channels for non-repeater stuff. I have FRS programmed in here, and I have GMRS. And then at the very bottom, I have NOAA weather radio, which you don't want to transmit on, but you could definitely listen to, say the weather for whatever area you're in. I programmed all the NOAA weather radio frequencies in here so I could go back and listen. Like I said, there's a lot of different frequencies that you can listen to, but maybe you actually, most likely, you don't want to transmit on. And what you could do is where this power says high, you could put the power on low on frequencies that you don't want to transmit on. And some radios allow you to say transmit off. Let's see here. Okay, so from there, I would want to go to File and Save As. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to put today's date in the front, 2/12/25, and I'm going to save that. I could go here and I could type in any one of my frequencies that I want to put in. And if I don't know them, I can come over to here to Query Source, and we could look up frequencies for my area or generic frequencies and put them in. Another great reference is a radio reference, which we'll just put up here.
So I mentioned that Hornet earlier. let's say.
Swiller, you're coming in broken.
Well, that's not good. How about now?
Really staticky.
Stand by, I'll be back.
Okay. Okay, so a great reference, and which is actually called Radio Reference, is radioreference.com. You can go to their database section and you go to browse and you look up an area. So if we come over here, say to Illinois, and we want to go, say, to Chicago, down here is different frequencies, a lot of like police stuff, a lot of other things like that. But here's a whole bunch of different frequencies you could possibly plug in. Instead of this, you could go in here and look up generic stuff like FRS frequencies, transportation information, GMRS frequencies, all that stuff, and look up frequencies you're allowed to operate on without a license. So radioreference.com is a fantastic free place to look up what frequencies might be in your area to listen to if you have a police scanner or something like that, or one of these radios. Amy asks, what kind of radio has the best radius? That would be something like what's on my desk. It's probably can't see it from this angle. Give me just a second. Actually, it's right behind my head here. But this radio on my desk is a ham radio, specifically HF. It works in the high frequencies, which is going to be really low below like AM and FM. It's really far below that. It's kind of towards the frequencies that we listen to, the HF, GCS, and the EIMs. I could talk to Swiller all the way where he lives 1,000 miles away with one of those. I talk to people from other countries on the ham radio. So these radios that are on my desk are point to point. That you're looking at maybe 1 mile to 5 miles. And then you get into the ham radio stuff with using repeaters or not. With the small guys, you're probably looking at maybe, say, 5 to 15 miles. But then you're looking at the big portable or desktop versions of the HF ham radios, and you're looking at hundreds to 1,000 miles. And they're not line of sight. They're bouncing off the atmosphere back and forth, and you're skipping stuff off of the atmosphere and your signals. Pretty wild stuff. We're going to get more into the depths of HF radio, long distance communication, emergency radios for power outages and disaster scenarios as we kind of go along through this subject in the following weeks and months. That's a great question. Swiller, I just turned you back on. You're still got a crazy amount of static coming through. I don't know what happened.
All right, stand by.
Tom says, HF, you said. Yes. Hotel Foxtrot, HF. Tom, welcome in. Good to see you. Mary Watson says, so can I download the radio reference into the Baofeng radio or from the radio reference website using the chirp? Yes, that's a great question. Let me go back to that really quick here. So when you're up here in the chirp software, we're back there. You go to query source, That's a fantastic question. You go to radio reference as the option right here. I don't know if you're watching from a phone how small this is. I do apologize. So you click the radio reference option. You log in, and then it downloads those codes and those frequencies, so you don't have to type them in manually, and it puts them directly into your radio, and then you hit upload. So if we were to make changes right now, let me see here. Swiller's still coming in crazy static. Sorry, buddy. Okay, so if we made changes, we downloaded more frequencies to listen to, we would go towards the radio button up top. We'd go to upload a radio. We'd pick our radio. It saves the settings from last time. Or you could pick them again if you have multiple radios. And then you hit OK. Hit OK again. And this progress bar is going to come through. While that's doing it, make sure you don't unplug the radio. This is going to go through and upload all your new frequencies you programmed in so that they're ready to go. Now, if you wanted an easier option than the radios that are on my desk, these little bow things, you could easily go to Walmart or Shields or Sports Stop or whatever like that and buy a GMRS or FRS radios right out of the box that are ready to go. These are nice because you have way more capability for listening, and some of them even have AM, FM radio that you could listen to on here, or at least FM. You can just listen to your regular FM broadcasts from your radio stations in your area. Like I said, this one right here, I have weather frequencies programmed into, so I can check out the weather. And then if there's big alerts going on for your area that's not weather, maybe a disaster or something, more than likely your local radio stations, say on like 95.9 or 102.3, or those weather radio stations from NOAA, one of those is going to tell you what's going on or what to do. That's kind of why radio got started in the first place. Tom says, you need to do classes, brother. Hey, that's what we're doing right now. This is the intro and beginning into radios for survival and prepping and general use. Tom asks, what radio products do you have? I have one that is credible, but don't know you can upload online with them. What radio products do I have? I have bow things in front of me. I also have a Yaesu right here. This is more works on the ham radio channels. And then I have a Yaesu FT710 that's more of my worldwide radio that can operate long distance on. I also, for that one, have a giant 150-foot antenna out the back in the backyard. Swiller says I'm going to try to reconnect. Perfect. Thank you. It wouldn't be a good night unless we had some kind of technical problems, right? Miriam Watson. Oh, thank you. I have a Baofeng F8 HP Pro. Excellent. Fantastic radio, Miriam. That's great. How do you spell that second brand? 1 second. Let me see if I can get Swiller reconnected. Swiller, we got you back.
How's it sound now?
Oh, perfectly clear.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what that was. I closed the tab and made my way back, and it's all better.
All good, man. Hey, that's just what happens in technology. It's working 1 second, then it's not the next.
Yeah. Hey, so can I pick up where I left off real quick?
Yeah, let me answer this real quick question
Yeah.
to Rambo Biscuit. Rambo asks, how do you spell that second brand? That was WAESU. And those work more on like programmable frequencies, but generally ham radio frequencies and things like that. Go ahead, Swiller.
So I was saying, let's say you're on a coast, just for an example earlier. If you're down in that San Diego area, everybody and their mother that's within eyesight of a plane going down is going to be grabbing their cell phones to call 911, which of course is a great thing to do. But if you have one of these walkie-talkies in your pocket and you have it programmed to the local harbor master's emergency channel, you can pull out your walkie-talkie and get communication to a boat that can get out to that downed airplane faster than through the 911 dispatch. So it might also be a great way to help out your community in a situation if you have the right frequencies programmed.
Exactly. So that brings up a great point, Swiller. I don't care what radio you are talking about or what radio that you happen to be nearby or on. Say I have this ham radio right here, which would generally mean to use or operate, I need a basic license, which is going to involve a little bit of learning, a little bit of a test, right?
Mm-hmm.
In an emergency situation, you can use, if there's going to be loss of life or property, or someone's in danger, you can use that radio even though you don't have any kind of not knowledge, but if you don't have any kind of certifications, use that radio. Use it to save someone's life or property. So I just wanted to make that clear. Always use the tools at your disposal to help out others, especially in a situation like that. Tom also asked, what kind of laptop or do you use your desktop? Over here, I wish I had this camera more portable. I have a desktop right next to me. My laptop's actually rather old. I'm surprised it still works. And then I have the Warwatch server over to my left. I haven't done this in a while, but if I can find my phone, I can actually show you guys 1 second. Through the power of technology and the internet, let's see if this even works. Miriam Watson says, I just downloaded Chirp and Radio Reference. Excellent, Miriam. If you have any questions, please let me know in chat or private message me, and I'd love to help out. Give me just 1 second here. And this is a great opportunity right now to ask all the crazy questions. Just don't ask me how magnets work. I don't quite understand.
Polarity. That's all I know.
Polarity, yep.
Hey guys, if you're new here, if you're just tuning in, you haven't had a chance to, please take a moment to strike that like button. If you're not subscribed, it is free to subscribe. Please hit that subscribe and the bell notification icon so it lets you know the times that we are going live, like tonight. And if you can also share the stream, we would greatly appreciate it. Put us out there in front of your like-minded friends and family. Thank you.
Swiller, when you clicked on that link I sent you, did you have to like register or anything?
Yes, you do have to create an account, but if you have a Gmail address, it's just as easy as pressing one button and then allowing access.
We're going to see if this kicks me out. I hope not. I don't know what's going to happen here, but we're going to give this a shot. I just had an idea.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so I gotta mute myself. Okay, wow. I muted myself. I just joined from my phone, so I could actually give people a quick tour. I'm on my phone now, also connected. We're making this kind of mobile friendly, so all of you could join in one of these nights and join in here. We're constantly making this better. So everyone can join in. We can have call-in nights. People can come in, have fun, ask questions, hang out. Let's see here.
Frost, do you have these Baofeng radios available for purchase in the merch store, or a link somewhere to get them reliably?
Amazon is probably the best. I'll post some links in our Discord after this in the radio section. So that's the main computer I use. Here is the HF radio. This is actually this is the HF radio that you see on the 24-hour stream on the bottom right-hand corner. This is tuned into generally 11175 or like 890902 or 15016. This is what's we're listening to EAMs with on the channel most of the time. This can also broadcast on ham radio frequencies. And then over there we have the Warwatch Intel server. That's all that computer does, is run all the data and databases and all the bots and the stream that sits over there in the corner and works on that. So that's pretty much what's going on here. And here's a farther look at the Warwatch Intel setup. Yeah, this is where I spend 90% of my time when I'm at home hanging out with you guys. This is where I'm from, or sitting at it rather. There we go. Amy asks, is it hard to get a ham radio license? You know what? There's 3 different classes of licenses. The first one is called a technician's class, and it's pretty easy to get. There is a little bit of studying for, but I know 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that have their license. It's pretty easy to get, and that gives you a whole bunch of stuff to access with one of these radios here. You're able to talk to people in your city using repeaters. You're able to talk to people regionally. And then if you take a step up past that, you can use a ham radio like the one on my desk with an antenna out back, or say on top of your car, and you can talk to people globally. Swiller, over in your area, I'm pretty sure there's people that sit next to the ocean and they talk to people from other countries pretty easily.
Yeah, they either sit out near the oceans or up on the hills adjacent to the oceans to be able to talk to the west or the far east, depending on. Or another thing that people will do is they'll go up in the foothills around me to be able to talk north to south. They could talk down to Canada, or sorry, up to Canada, down to Mexico and farther. I mean, there are Toyota Camrys around me that have 4 foot, 5 foot long antennas on the trunk with giant coils on the bottom of them. Their license number is their license plate. Like their ham radio license is their license plate. There's a guy that's probably about a half a mile from me that has one of the most awesome antenna setups that you can have on like 1,000 square foot house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still got to get a picture of that for you.
Now there's courses online. If you're serious about learning ham radio, if you're serious about getting it for emergency use or just for fun, there's a lot of fun to be had with that as well. There's courses. Hamradioprep.com is one of the ones I use, and you pay. Let me pull it up here while we're talking about it. And for a technician's course, you're looking at $35. And that's going to give you a fun way to learn it. They're going to ask you all the questions. They're going to go through all the material. They have videos. They have a guy that comes on there and tells you about it, whatever chapter you're on. It doesn't take too long at all. And then they give you practice tests. And at $35 is a one-time fee, and you can go in there and practice as much as you want. You can take the practice test, and you can keep on doing that until you pass your test. And it's a lifetime access, so that's really cool. Then you have the $55 one, which is the general license and technician's license together. So if you think you're ever going to move up, just go ahead and get that one to begin with. It's a lot of fun, and it's pretty rewarding. You can actually help out, like Swiller was saying, people in your area with radios. You can be also part of nets, which is just people that get together so often and check in just to make sure the radios are working and they are kind of pre-prepared for disaster to happen. Side note, we do have an EAM coming in right now. Toolmaker was on top of it. So while we've been in here, we've had one EAM come through. The tank says, I need a tech for dummies. You got it. Tom says, I'm going to go back to this 1 second feeding baby, 2 weeks old. I'll have to take advice for that. Hey, Tom, no problem. But anyways, Amy, that was a very good question. Thank you so much. Ham radio in my mind is fantastic for, like I said, prepping and also fun. The land is the light. I have questions. I'm more looking for a satellite capable phones. This is new and only for emergency use only. I went through Helene disaster and lack of comms was the worst. I need help deciding. You know what? That's actually going to be the next course coming up after this is a texting option. Now think of like a phone where you can call on, like the sat phones you see on TV or movies. Now think of that, but something that you can text with instead. It's way cheaper to have standing by. You can use it to check in or have loved ones know exactly where you're at. The battery life is amazing. So we're going to be talking about those on our next video like this that we do, is how to communicate via satellite texting from maybe one of your iPhones that have that capability now, depending on your area and iPhone, and or these other devices, like one from Garmin, of how you can communicate through a satellite with texting. It's really easy. It's pretty cheap, and it's an easy, good way to get into it. So the lamb is the light. We will definitely be circling back and answering all those questions on the next video, just like this here. The lamb says the Samsung 25 and the iPhone 16 now have that capability. You're exactly right. They use different satellites than the ones that we're going to be talking about. But we're going to go through a whole course on that and what are the differences, which one will fit your needs better. Like if you already have an iPhone and you're already in a good area, maybe that might be the best option for you. Or if you hike a lot and you're out of the cell phone zone and range most of the day, maybe one of the satellite communicators would be good for you. We'll go through all those good options and then let you guys make that decision yourself. The lamb, yes, that is the option. Text only in SMH emergency. I agree. Well, for tonight, does anyone have any other questions regarding communication, radio, the basics that we covered tonight. If you need help programming or getting your radios ready for whatever, please let me know on the side as well. After this, I can help you out privately. We just want to come together as a community and help each other out, get more prepared. And like I said, this is just step number 1, the very basics.
And guys, if you're watching this video after the fact, make sure that you go onto our Discord and reach out to us there if you have any questions about radios and whatnot. You can, of course, leave a comment on this video. We'll answer it as well. But Discord is the best way because it has the most resources for you to get an answer to your question. Because not only can Frost answer your question, but we have a couple other fans and viewers that also enjoy the radio hobby and they know their way around a radio room.
Great point, Swiller. So just like what we do here, I might bring radio and communications to the table, but somebody else might bring more like backpacking or woodland survival knowledge to the table. So in this community of Warwatch, we're all going to help each other out, and we're going to start at the basics, and we're going to get each other prepared. Because it's pretty easy to see in the last few years, preparedness is becoming more of a requirement in my mind. Toolmaker asked, does a solar storm affect ham radio transmissions? Yes, it can generally disrupt a lot of transmissions. And sometimes, we'll talk about this in the future, on certain frequencies, it can sometimes enhance kind of randomly. It's hard to plan or hard to know how, but it can enhance some sporadic channels from time to time.
Get a little atmospheric skip.
Yeah. So when on a frequency, say maybe on 10 meters, you're usually only talking about 50 miles away. All of a sudden, you're talking 5,000 miles away. And maybe that time window's only open for a few minutes, maybe an hour. Who knows? It's kind of random.
Frost, can you program your little Baofeng radio there for CB radio frequencies? Is that 11 meter, 10 meter, somewhere in there?
No, so these are generally operating around 100 to 400-ish megahertz between there.
Okay.
And CB frequencies, I believe, run around 27 to 30 something megahertz. So a lot lower than these ones can operate. But they do
26
mobile radios that can operate that low.
Gotcha.
However, certain radios, even though you can program them to work on those frequencies, they're not licensed to do so. So like my Yaesu HF radio, I could technically program it to work on CB, but I might be using too much power to be legal in that area. So I'm just going to put the legal stuff out there.
Yeah. No, CB radio. So just for those who don't know, CB radio, I believe you can operate a max of 5 watts of power.
Yeah. Coming out of the antenna. And I believe they call that like PEP power, which is covered in the ham radio prep technical license course.
Now, to get around that, some folks will put what's called a linear amplifier on their radio, and that will boost the wattage of the signal itself.
Right.
But not the power of the radio itself. Illegal, regardless.
Yes. One of these nights or early mornings, we should actually listen to some of those CB radio pirates. They talk from one side of the country to the other at using crazy amount of power, and the way they talk and some of the call signs and code names they use is quite fun to listen to, actually.
I don't know if it's the same where you are at, but Channel 6 gets quite quite lively.
Quite rowdy. Amy asks, Is there a certain ham radio for a beginner you can recommend? Honestly, as a brand new beginner to the hobby, a Baofeng is going to do you just fine. Other than that, I recommend something cheaper on the cheap side to make sure this is the hobby for you and just to learn it. Maybe like a Yaesu or something like this. But the Baofengs are the easiest and cheapest to get into the hobby for sure. Tom asks, dumb question, but does EMP affect this? Also, natural disasters or satellite interference? Natural disasters, not unless your radio gets wet or broken. Satellites, no, won't affect this and don't require satellites to work for these. EMP would fry these radios if the EMP went off close enough to you. A simple workaround with that to be put these in a microwave that you don't use anymore, or a metal trash can with some kind of plastic or rubber liner on the inside. Good question. The Lamb says, I will 100% that without any form of communication is terrifying. I agree. Amy says, thank you for all of this. It's been very helpful. You're welcome. So like I said, the next time we meet with one of these regarding communication, one of these kind of classroom style lives, we're going to be talking about satellite communication, like using your phone or a satellite communicator. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different brands. We're going to go through how it works on your phone. And if you're in an area without service, but you need to text or get help, we're going to talk about how that works, the technology behind it. We'll keep it real simple. We'll answer all your questions, and we'll go over the options that we have at hand. We're not only going to be doing these kind of classroom sessions for radios or technology, we're also going to be doing them for firearms, prepping, survival, you name it, we'll do it. And please, right now is a perfect opportunity. If you have things that you would like us to go over in more of a classroom style setting here, please shout us out in chat and tell us what kind of subjects you would like covered so we can add those to the list. These are definitely for all of you, and so we can all learn together. So please, if you also have something that you're very knowledgeable at or on, we would love to have you up here on the channel, and you can get up there and talk just like this. This channel is for all of us to benefit. So
video episode 3.
Swill, I just caught just the tail end of that. What were you saying?
I have an idea for radio episode 3 for you.
Please.
So let's take it to the other end of the spectrum.
Okay.
And let's do one where maybe you teach us how to build cheaply, like with household materials, an emergency radio that you can at least pick up AM on.
There you go.
That's something that's been around for years. They used
AM
to
is
teach
the easiest to receive for sure.
Yeah, and they used to teach it in high school. Like that was part of part of the elective class, similar to auto shop and metal shop and whatnot. They would teach you how to build a radio that you can tune. I think it was with like a penny and a paperclip or something like that. And
awesome.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, let's go over it.
Little MacGyver radio.
Smoky Mountain Prepper says, I love my Starlink here in the mountain. Starlink is very awesome. Tom said, I would highlight transportation. That's fantastic. And the Lamb says, I was told tonight by Verizon that he thought that satellite capability phones could include voice text sent by attachments. Yes, we'll get into that. There is some satellite technology that allows you to send photos and voice. On top of all of that, there's also satellite phones that can call. Those have been around for a while, but there's a lot of new things coming out for satellite communication that we should definitely share. So that's what we're going to do next time on our communications classroom thing we're doing here. I don't know quite what to call these, but we'll figure it out. Figure it out as the way we, as far as we go. I can't speak. We'll figure it out as we go. Toolmaker says solar power generators and solar panels. Excellent. That's actually another topic I know a little bit about, and I've actually hooked up here at my house, so I can at least help out with that topic and demonstrate how that works.
And of course, it goes without being said, you got to do one on a bug out bag and go bag and all that.
We're going to have lots of videos on that, and we talked about tonight. Side note: testing equipment as soon as the weather gets nice outside, and then maybe once it starts snowing again, more winter survival stuff too. The Lamb, we will schedule those out and let you know. It probably won't be too far out. Last question for everybody from me. Has this been helpful and beneficial? And would you tune into other information style live streams we do? We're still going to get on there and hang out. We're going to talk about aircraft and the news like we always do. And we're also going to have more videos on demand like that coming up, like regular YouTube videos. But is this information style live been beneficial to you? Even though it might not be ham radio stuff, will information style videos be useful to you? The Tank says, if anyone wants to talk bees, I can help you there. Hey, Tank, you know what? Bees and honey and all of that would be a fantastic night to have you up here for. I think that's a great idea. Rambo Biscuit says, helpful indeed, and I would tune in again. Thank you. Miriam says, I love it. Yes, thank you, Frost and Swiller. You're welcome. Mama D says, save these so we can rewatch as well. A good point. We'll save these as their own playlist. I just need a name for these. What do we call it? Like War Watch, Intel, Classroom, or Information? I'm really bad at the names.
We'll have to think about that. Because, usually I'm pretty quick with coming up with at least half of a good name. And I'm kind of stuck right now.
We will check it out. All right, that's all we have for tonight. I'll catch everyone in chat. We're going to restart the stream, our normal 24-hour stream back up and running. G-Wiz says Prep 101. That's a fantastic option. Mama D says Classroom. Yeah, let's talk about that in the chat and Discord and figure out what we should call these kind of style classrooms. And like I said, I don't want to be the only one running these. I think other people that are knowledgeable in other areas should come up and talk as well. So Miriam Watson says Warwatch Radio Prep 1. Love that. Well, that's it for tonight. Swiller, I'll meet you in Discord. And everyone else, I'll see you in chat. And we'll be live again on Friday. Same time, same channel. Until then, everyone stay safe and continue watching what's going on. It's been interesting. Everyone have a fantastic night, and thank you again.